Listen, America is creating a whole generation, actually multiple generation of idiots. And listen, you can disagree all you want to. You may think that you're an Einstein, probably not, but I have proof that America is just creating a generation of idiots that's going to lead us down another rabbit hole that we're not going to be able to dig ourselves out. And I also wrote down these points as well on how I know that the United States is creating just a bunch of dim-witted idiots. And man, before I get into it, it's just this is why I don't believe in the American people, right? I don't believe in the system. I don't believe in the people because when you're so aware, when you can see everything that's going on, when you can see how the powers that be are playing right in our face, and you see that everybody else just walking around willy nilly, right? It's either people don't care or people are so dumb that they're not aware. One of the two, right? Or a combination of both of them, right? But listen, anyway, right? America's creating a generation of idiots. So, first and foremost, the lack of critical thinking skills is absolutely astronomical, right? Especially with the younger generation, but I'm even more so surprised with older people, much older than me, who lack just common sense critical thinking skills, right? When there's a line, the line goes straight across, right? People are literally like jumping all across, up this, up there. Like, I can't even explain how much brain power that it takes to have conversations with people who really have no sense, right? Older people, younger, especially the younger people, they're out of it, man. They're doped up. They're on drugs. They're drinking every weekend, right? In the basement dwellers playing video games, watching corn, right? Just frying their dopamine hits. It's all over the place, man. Listen, schools don't teach reasoning, right? Only memorization, right? Our education system is so lackluster, and this is supposed to be the richest nation in the world, correct? This is supposed to be the richest nation in the world, but we're creating dummies, right? We're creating children who are not prepared for the future world, not the world as of right now. No, they're not prepared for the future world. When you go across the globe, right, to other countries, specifically, you got children in Europe. When you talk about children in Asia and so on and so forth, these kids are prepared for the new world, right? They are prepared for the new technology, right? They're exercising their critical thinking skills, right? They're being innovative. American children are probably the dumbest kids on the dumbest first world kids on planet Earth. I would even take it as far as to say that even when it comes to third world countries, the third world children are probably outdoing and outpacing American children, right? It's absolutely asinine. And don't get me started on the food and the candy and all of the stuff, that the chemicals, the red 40, the dyes and all that stuff that the kids are, digesting, and that's attributing to chemical imbalances and lack of brain efficiency. And I can go on and on down that rabbit hole, but our educational system is a complete joke, right? So much so that Trump, right? He has to bring in Chinese nationals to go to our universities and study what American children, American teenagers, right, American young adults should be studying. But nah, 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 nah. We're gonna bring in other people, right? Our country is too dumb, right? This is the highest offices literally saying that. Elon Musk has said at the beginning of the administration, right? Vivek Ramaswamy has said it as well. Said we just don't have the talent. American culture, right? They don't value education, right? And that's the reason why they bring in a bunch of immigrants, right? So listen, look, debate with your mama. Don't debate with me. I'm just bringing to you what's going on, right? And listen, this is another thing right here, right? I I have conversations with people, right? And I'm just flabbergasted at the amount of stupidity that comes out of people's mouths, right? Listen, I love watching conspiracy theory documentaries, and I love watching, 9/11 conspiracies, but Jesus Christ, right? Let's focus on the facts and not conspiracy theories. Your Q and conspiracy weirdos, right? America is full of people who believe more in conspiracy theories than they do the facts. This is why it's so easy to get over on American people, right? If God forbid, right? If somebody wanted to invade America, which they're already doing anyway, they're already implementing all kind of psychological warfare to make it easier to. That's a whole different story. But listen, if somebody wanted to come into America, right? If somebody wanted to invade in America, it would be so easy because Americans are so docile. They're so weak-minded and docile that every other conspiracy theory is looked at as the truth instead of the actual facts. You can present the facts to somebody right now, and they're going to be like, "Well, what's your source?" Right? Government website. Well, what's their source? Actual studies and surveys conducted. Well, how you know that? How do you know that these were real people? Uh, well, well, are they aliens, sir, ma'am? What do you mean by that? Well, they may have just pulled this out of their ass. Well, I mean, sir, I mean, you can practically say that about anything. Exactly. And that's what I'm like, bro, like, it's like a constant denial of actual reasoning, right? A constant denial of actual fact-based science. And as you can see, we're already just throwing away the science as it is, right? We're already throwing away the science. We're already throwing away facts, data, and statistics, right? Because nobody cares anymore. All people care about is what's the word I'm looking for? They only care about verifying their ideological views. They don't care about anything else. They don't. If the facts don't match what they already think, then they don't care, right? They'll throw away the facts. No, that's not true. Right? You can literally show this person factual data, right? And they'll still deny it. I mean, listen. I'm just presenting to you what's going on, right? People believes whatever confirms their worldview, right? Feelings over evidence, right? Emotions over truth, right? Even the men, right? Even the men have gone down this rabbit hole. You would think that men would be more based. You would think that men would be more logical, right? No, they're not. They deny facts too, right? They deny the statistics too, right? They deny the science too, right? Nobody wants to really believe the truth because guess what? The truth hurts. The after pill hurts, right? To digest the after pill, it's gonna hurt because I'm not gonna feed you whatever you believe in. I'm gonna feed you what is. And the only thing that is true is what is, as the world is, not as you want it to be, not as I want it to be, not as anybody else wanted to be, but as it presents itself today. This is what's going on in the world, right? Nobody believes in facts anymore. Nobody believes in data, and this feeds into the lack of critical thinking skills, right? You have people who've never done a research paper in their life, right? You have so many people in America today who barely even got through school, right? They were the person that, you know how you were assigned a group to do a group project. Most people were that third person, right? That the first person, I'm not even gonna say that, but yeah, most people are probably that third person that really didn't do the work, right? They just skated on by, right? Or they didn't even talk about the project, right? They were just presenting it. They hold up the poster board, or they were just pressing the keys on the dang on laptop, going through the scrolls. But that's how most people are, man. No critical thinking skills, and it's easier to believe something that is not true than actually believe the truth, right? If you ever watched The Matrix, right, it was easier for people to just exist in the Matrix. It was easy to accept, right? It was easier to accept the illusion, right? It was hard. Why break down all that you know, right? Why break down all your comfort walls, right? Why digest the truth when I can continue to live in a lie because it's comfortable for me, right? Ignorance is bliss, essentially, right? Let's move on to the next one. right? Number three, which I talk about all the time, the rise of the loser man, right? Y'all don't understand how important this actually is, right? This is extremely important, right? And not just loser men, loser people, right? There's been an extreme rise in loser people, right? But we're going to focus on loser men specifically because I view the man as being the leader and being the one who essentially leads society, right? And we're seeing so many men fall to the wayside, right? Because they don't know themselves. They don't know how to be masculine or a man in a world that demonizes masculinity. They don't know how to be a man in a world that is now or the West specifically. They don't know how to be a man in a world where it's gender neutral, it's gender fluid. They don't know how to do it, and instead of rising to the occasion, most men just fall into the feminine traps. That's what they do. They become women, right? They become woman like, they become feminine like, right? They become basement dwellers. They become keyboard warriors. They become fat sloppalopasauruses. They become corn connoisseurs, right? They become game connoisseurs. They become everything that is detrimental to society as a whole. That's what they become, right? And then they push that off on everybody else. And this is what I said: only losers have a bunch of friends. Losers have a bunch of friends, right? Losers, because those are only ones that can truly make friends in this day and age, because there's only so many guys out here who are working hard, who are out here winning and have enough time to be fooling around with friendships in the first place. But the loser male is destroying society, right? The loser male is literally burning down society, right? And it's a low effort lifestyle. Like I said, undisciplined, addicted to corn, addicted to drugs and paraphernalia, video games, and they just have no purpose, no ambition, and no goals, no nothing. And I don't want to hear all of that. Well, society did this, and so yeah, we already talked about that the past 10 years, right? The red pill already went on a whole tangent on that for a whole 10 years. Ninjas are still in the same place, right? Ninjas are still in the same place, right? And this is just going to create a 360 cycle and just continuously creating a generation of idiots, right? It's going to continue to create a generation of weak man. Y'all wonder why this country can't get on the right path. We have too many weak males, right? We have too many men who have, quite frankly, too much time on their hands, right? If you can sit there all day and play video games in your parents' house, right? You can sit there all day and watch corn. You can sit there all day and be a keyboard warrior. You have too much time on your hands and you really need to reevaluate your life. But Lord knows that you're not going to do that, because society doesn't even push for men to be the best possible versions of themselves in the first place. Society actually pushes men to be losers. Facts. Society is actually pushing men to be losers. And on the flip side, pushing women to be domineering. Ain't that crazy? The society that we live in today is pushing women to be winners and domineering while pushing men to be losers. They're also pushing the women to be whores too, but that's a whole different story. But they're going to be winning whores, right? Whores with money, right? While a good bulk of the men just become losers with no family, no wives, no girlfriends, no multiple wives, no, just nothing. Not able to travel the world. Americans are very ignorant, right? And I'm gonna do a whole nother segment on this is the reasons why you should be traveling. I'm gonna break down the data, and that's only gonna be for the Patreon members and only for the YouTube members. So make sure you sign up for either one. You can become a member of the channel, support the channel, or you can become a member of the Patreon, support the Patreon, support the message, support the after pill, and support the PFP life, right? Purpose, freedom, and power. But this is why a lot of men should travel to gain a worldview. Americans don't have a good worldview. All they know is what the media tells them. All they know is what the algorithms tell them. They don't have a real world base and knowledge of what actually goes on in the world, right? And I'm gonna tell you this story. I was talking to this guy yesterday, right? And I just asked him, has he ever been out the country? Right? 24 years old. And this is literally what he said. He was like, why do I need to leave the greatest country in the world, right, when I can just explore this country, right? Why do I need to leave? And in my mind, I'm just like, oh my God. I just can't, I can't help you ninjas, man. Right? For those of you who want to be winners, you're going to be winners. Right? For everybody else, the bottom 80%, God bless you. But just to sit here and say that, why would I leave the greatest country in the world, right, to travel? What do you mean? To gain a better understanding on other groups of people, other ethnicities, other races of people, other cultures of people, so you can gain some common ground and understanding of humanity that is just not one way, that is multiple ways, it's a multiverse, right? The world just don't operate around the United States. The United States isn't the dang on the sun, right? That everybody else orbits around, right? That's why you should travel. But you can't convince people. And I've met more. I've met a bunch of guys who I've asked, not even just have you traveled, right? Because things happen. You get caught up in work. You don't have the money, right? So not even just that, but do you plan to travel? Many of these guys don't even plan to travel, right? Let alone even leave the state. Let alone leave the state. And I'm so just bamboozled by the lack of intelligence, the lack of knowledge, the lack and the lack of there to pursue knowledge and wisdom, right? The American male has no ambition and no drive to essentially do anything, right? But then you think that we're going to build some kind of intelligence, right? Yeah, you have people coming all across the world to the United States who can speak more than one language. Most Americans only speak English. Let that sink in. Everybody else coming from everywhere else can speak Spanish and English, right? French, Creole, and English, right? Swahili and English, right? Yoruba or whatever, Swahili and English, or Arabic and English, or Portuguese, Italian, and English. Meanwhile, most Americans only speak English. We're creating a generation of fucking idiots, man. And that's an after pill. Happy Thanksgiving. Peace. I built a life. I built a family. I worked my hands raw to get here. And I'm not done. This is the escape blueprint. PFP Life. A way out of the grind and into control. You'll learn how I stack cash, build systems, and reclaim time so you can live on your own terms. You will watch me maneuver and grind towards the life that I achieve for myself, and you can also do the same. Join the circle, join the Patreon, learn the steps, and protect your freedom. The Escape Blueprint. PFP Life.